Welcome to a deep dive. Today, we're looking at just one, maybe surprising source. We're stepping away from the, usual pile of research papers
hmm
and dense articles to explore something quite different. A classic short story by Isaac Asimov called Youth.
Oh, it's a fantastic choice. Really great for this kind of deep dive because, well, even though the premise seems simple, it's got these incredibly rich layers of perspective.
Right.
You've got one single event, and just depending on who's seeing it, their assumptions, their history, their age even, their whole reality is just, well, different.
Exactly. So, our mission today is kind of peel back those layers.
Mm.
We're going to see how things like background, fear, hope, and even what species you are can dramatically reshape what you think is true.
And maybe pull out some insights about our own perceptions while we're at it.
Let's dive in.
All right. So let's start where the story does really on the ground level with these two young boys, Red and Slim. They literally just met the day before. They're out in the country. And you get that, immediate, uncomplicated friendship, the kind that often happens before things get more complex in adolescence.
Yeah, that quick bond feels really key, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sort of sets up this shared secret world they have separate from the adults.
Totally. And their shared secret, it kicks off the night before when they hear this weird noise. Sounds like thunder, but it's a clear night. Sounds like maybe something crashed, something big happened nearby.
Right, which leads them to finding something the next morning. They discover these two small, kind of strange-looking animals.
And what's the very first thing they think?
Keep it secret.
Exactly. Don't tell the parents.
Yeah.
It's that classic kid instinct, right? To protect something unique, maybe something wonderful they found.
And Red immediately has his big idea. These aren't just weird animals, this is their ticket. Their ticket to the circus.
Huh. Yeah, that's youthful ambition right there. Taking something completely unknown and instantly seeing how it fits into, like, the most exciting possibility in their world.
It's that direct line, isn't it? Discovery straight to, personal goal.
Yeah.
They're not thinking, wow, scientific breakthrough or historic moment,
Nope. They're thinking headliner act.
which naturally leads to a very relatable problem.
Yeah.
What do you feed mystery space creatures or mystery animals?
Yeah, they kind of brainstorm grass, leaves, nuts. But Red, being Red, just decides, right, ground meat. That's the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Which, yeah, the story makes clear, causes a bit of chaos in the kitchen later on. But it captures that perfectly, doesn't it? That kind of messy trial and error thing you do when you're just figuring it out as you go.
And the story paints this atmosphere around them, this early morning world that feels huge and private, like the whole world is just yours. Red even has his rules for Slen how to keep a secret, why animal acts are the best part of the circus, and the number one rule.
Yeah.
Normal, so nobody gets suspicious.
And those rules are so focused on their immediate world, their goal. They're not thinking about, the implications of extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
They're thinking about operational security for their potential circus stars. It really throws the difference between their concerns and the adults' concerns into sharp relief.
Okay, so that's the view from the ground. Secrets, circus dreams.
Yeah.
But that noise they heard, the adults in the house, they heard it too, but, very differently.
Oh, absolutely. We shift perspective, go inside the house to the astronomer and the industrialist. They heard the noise too, but their minds immediately went somewhere much, much bigger. A possible landing.
And the astronomer drops this bombshell, something the boys couldn't possibly know. He's actually had contact with them before.
Yeah.
In a sense, he says, through thought projection.
Right. This seems to be the way these visitors communicate, across huge distances. And they've apparently proposed a deal. They're offering advanced science, maybe the thought projection tech itself, in exchange for, carbon and hydrogen.
Which the industrialist, pretty sharp, figures out means coal and oil.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the big disagreement, the core debate between these two men really catches fire.
Yeah, the industrialist is all about caution, maybe even fear. He sees this trade as a huge risk to their, maybe stagnant but peaceful way of life.
He remembers the past.
He vividly remembers the destruction from the before the war's time, their own history with super advanced, dangerous tech like atomic bombs, that perfect old road outside they can't even fix anymore. It's a constant reminder of what they lost.
So he sees their society as having deliberately pulled back after almost destroying itself.
Exactly. And bringing in powerful new alien tech feels like playing with fire again, repeating those mistakes. He sees their race as old, comfortable, maybe needing that quiet.
It's a strong case against rocking the boat, isn't it? Seeing their current state as like a necessary recovery. But the astronomer sees it completely differently.
Totally. He argues they aren't just peaceful, they're kind of dying out, going nowhere, stagnant. For him, change isn't the threat, it's essential for survival.
And his key point,
He points out that these aliens, they survived their own atomic stage. Maybe they hold the key not just to cool new gadgets, but to actually reversing humanity's slide.
okay, but aliens wanting coal and oil still seems kind of primitive for space travelers, doesn't it?
It does at first, but the industrialist actually figures out why. They're basic building blocks for organic chemistry. Think plastics, dyes, pharmaceuticals, solvents. Stuff that's still essential, even if you have atomic power.
Ah, okay. So it grounds the request in a weird kind of logic. Makes sense.
Makes it less about just needing, like, basic fuel and more about fundamental manufacturing materials. And the astronomer adds another piece here. He's checked independently, and planets like Earth, incredibly rare.
Really?
Yeah, but the aliens, they apparently have millions of suitable worlds. Just super dense ones. Different kind. This detail makes it seem way less likely they're here for conquest, for land.
More like specialized resource gathering.
Yeah.
Eases the invasion fear a bit.
Right, so you've got this massive debate swirling around. Galactic trade, societal decay, the future of humanity. And then, suddenly...
A scream.
Yeah. The mother finds the ground meat is missing, follows the trail to the barn, and screams her head off when she sees the creatures.
Wow.
Her scream just crashes through that abstract intellectual debate and slams everyone into the immediate physical reality of what the boys found.
Which brings us perfectly to the third perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The aliens themselves. The explorer and the merchant, the ones who survived the crash.
Their side of the story, well, a crash happened because they had trouble navigating. Earth's gravity and atmosphere were unexpectedly high and dense for them.
Okay, so it was an accident caused by unfamiliar conditions.
Yeah,
and then
they get captured by a giant. That's Red.
how they see humans is just fascinating. They see us as grotesquely huge, like monsters, but also mild and unaggressive. They actually interpret our whole post-atomic history as leading to gradual decadence and increasing gentleness.
It's pretty wild, isn't it? How our caution, which comes from nearly wiping ourselves out with technology, looks like decay, like weakness, from the viewpoint of this species that seems driven by exploration and, well, profit.
And Earth's atmosphere, they find it feels thick as soup, uncomfortable.
Yeah, and they're totally confused by their cage, which is just the barn loft and the food they get offered, grass, then meat. It makes zero sense to them.
And their mission wasn't some official first contact thing.
No, not at all. It turns out it was basically a private venture, secret trade exploration, looking for new planets to exploit for profit, maybe set up a monopoly, kind of entrepreneurial.
And here's the detail that just reframes everything.
Yeah.
They were armed. They had a weapon, what the boys later realized was a disintegrator gun, but they didn't use it on Red.
They chose not to. This wasn't just them being overpowered. It was a conscious decision not to fight back violently, even though they could have. It adds this layer of, like, sophistication and restraint you wouldn't expect.
Which brings us right to the climax. All three perspectives finally smash together. The adults hear the scream, rush to the barn, find the cage, see the creatures.
And the astronomer confirms it. Yes, these are the visitors I spoke to. And now, finally, with the adults present, that thought projection communication starts to work.
And the aliens explain themselves. Why didn't they fight back against Red and Slim?
They say they knew the boys meant well, that they figured they would not harm the young of an intelligent species. It's an amazing interpretation.
Almost like they saw it as kids being kids, across species lines.
Sort of. And they proved they could have gotten away easily. They used their weapon to burn holes through the barn roof, through the cage itself, just to show they stayed willingly.
Wow. Okay. That act of restraint and how the aliens read the boys' motives. That's the big shift.
It completely turns the industrialist around, seeing that deliberate nonviolence and then thinking about the sheer, well, the gall of his own son and Slim, capturing these beings, feeding them, planning a circus act. His whole perspective just flips 180 degrees.
He goes from fear to pride.
Yeah, suddenly he's full of admiration for their amazing gall. That abstract fear of change just melts away when faced with this concrete example of, I don't know, youthful courage and this completely unintended positive interspecies contact started by kids.
And the whole thing gets summed up by the astronomer with that one perfect word that ties it all together. Youth.
Right. So let's zoom out. Why does this story, this deep dive, matter to you listening?
Well, it's just such a powerful example of how The exact same reality, the same events, can look completely different depending on your viewpoint, your lens.
Yeah, the crash is just noise to the boys, it's a potential landing to the adults, it's a navigation mess up and capture to the aliens.
And the creatures themselves. Strange animals, potential trading partners, or survivors captured by giants, all at once.
It really pushes you to question your own assumptions, doesn't it? What looks like a monster might be, highly civilized and practicing restraint.
And what looks like just messy kid stuff might actually be the spark of initiative that's needed to break some kind of societal logjam.
It forces you to think about your own framework. Are you maybe seeing potential opportunities as terrifying threats, the way the industrialists did at first?
Or are you so caught up in your own history, your own fears, that you're missing the real nature of something new? Just like, well, pretty much everyone in the story initially misunderstood everyone else.
It definitely hits on those big timeless themes. That constant tension between fearing change and needing progress, the long shadow cast by past mistakes like atomic war.
The really unexpected places you can find courage and simple curiosity.
So we've walked through the layers of Asimov's youth, gone from boys' secrets in a barn and alien crashes.
All the way to adult debates about the future of civilization and this sudden, unexpected understanding.
And it leaves you with something to chew on, I think. A final thought. How often do you encounter something unfamiliar? Could be a new idea, a different culture, just an unexpected event.
And immediately filter it through your own narrow set of assumptions. Your fears, maybe your desires, just like all the characters did in this story.
And if you do that, what are you potentially missing? What opportunities, what crucial understanding, what surprising connections might just slip by?
What might you, like the adults at the start, be accidentally keeping locked up in a kind of cage of your own limited view?